Hi everyone, thank you for joining me today. We're going to be looking at these women's statues again. We're going to be looking at the birds that they all have in common. And, not all the statues, as all of us know, are as defined as this girl. And just as a reminder, all this started for me when I saw at a housing development there were a bunch of mounds that were being destroyed. Found a bunch of artifacts and then found these statues, these stone dolls. So here we have a statue of a girl, and of course you can see her eye, her nose, and her mouth in here. There's another portrait sticking out here, so you kind of tilt it as if it is a portrait, like what's on our coins. It's the same deal, and you can see how the center of her pupil actually glows in there, and you can see how her face is recessed in a lighter color, and the rest of this is all just representing her hair. Now, this statue has more than just this figurine on it. It has painted in women on the other side. We're not sure the age of this stuff. This culture shows some Mississippian signs. However, this is all painted crystal, and it seems to be older than just Mississippian culture. It's mixed in a little bit, but this stuff does fade. These are just painted pieces of white quartz, and so I don't take this one out very often, so try to preserve these things. And guys, I'm not going to rush, so settle in. This has been a year's worth of work, so if you don't know what we're talking about, I urge you guys to go back and look at some of the earlier videos. This is kind of like a public research, right? They're doing this together. So with these women's statues, of course, you guys I'll put a link to the earlier video, but as the introduction to the women's statues here of ancient America, we notice that they all have these flowers in their hair. So this, from far away, this will look just like the eye, but when you bring it closer, you'll see that that big spot is actually a flower, and then the portrait is in there, right about here in this section. This is one leaf, or petal, I guess I should say, one petal, two petals. The center of the flower is right here. So the portrait is just in this section, and some of them are more represented than others. They're all there. It's a level of detail that you have to get used to being able to see. However, all these have that same motif of this duck sitting down with its beak down in its wing as well. And so the way that this is depicted is the head of the duck is right here, the eye, and you can see how it's smooth with the pupil. The beak is right here. This is the wing. And you can see how the bottom of the wing is represented, the whole round of it, and the feathers come back here. The neck right here, it actually comes all the way through, but in the picture I left a little gap here. So if you guys get a kick out of that one, I'll tell you what, I'm going to pick you up just a little bit and move you around, and that way you can maybe get a better look at it. Now this one is very similar, and we can go ahead and use the same picture for this one as well. So again, this is white pieces of quartz that are painted. You can see how the back of these are all black, and this is representing the hair of the portrait of the woman, which is, believe it or not, this. And you'll see how this is all black here in the back. This is the same way with the portrait of the woman here, and then her hair. So the way that you look at these is that's the hair, and you can poke the face out and produce the image. And so when you kind of put it like this, you can see how that flower comes out maybe a little bit better, and then different distances help as well. So let's go ahead and look at this one here, which is our most defined one. And sorry for bouncing you guys around. I'll slow down a little bit here. So again, this woman, the most defined one of this collection, and the flowers represented here. Of course, the portrait, there's different ones, but the main outside image I think is pretty clear. And you can see the levels of the stone, how maybe she has a sideburn here and the rest of this is hair. There's her Adam's apple, or her neckline, just like in the other statue. They represented or showed the necks. And then on the back of this, I just want to show you, there's something else on the back of this. Of course, there's a big, huge portrait with a cheekbone, but more importantly, the black color, the way that this yellow piece of quartz is painted. So that's probably about it for right now, guys. Let me show you a crystal, and we'll end on that. So let's zoom in on this one. This one's really neat. And I'll try to hold the camera a little more steady. So what we have is pretty much every tool mark that you could think of on one crystal. If you look at the way that is going to shine back at us here, you can see how the lines are done in that. It's like a file. And then it's polished on different sides. And there's actually a pressure flake on it as well, right here in the middle, where you can see inside of it. It does have like a big red inclusion in it. So you can see why they would want to keep this. Believe it or not, this is a crystal effigy. There are mammoths and things on this as well. The black peck marks that are on just portions of the crystal, you can see how they're all pecked and little black spots are put inside there. You guys know how crystals are made, of course. And this is just kind of demonstrating all of the tool marks on one stone. This isn't very common to find in North Carolina. So this came from somewhere else and was carried here. We're not just finding big, giant pieces of ice like this laying around North Carolina in the Piedmonts. But it's a really neat one, and glad you guys got a kick out of these women. There's so much more to go through with these, but I can't see my screen anymore. But we can go ahead and take a quick look at the other side of this. So they're also this meme of this duck that kind of sits like this. It's really funny looking. You can see how this one just turns into what looks like a bird. You can see how the beak is over here, especially when you put it up in the air. That's when it really kind of comes to life there. And especially when you get the colors in the screen, that's even better. So you can see how the wings are depicted. And for this one, when you look at this picture, think of it just much bigger. So the head of this fella is much, much larger. Believe that the eye for it is right here. So the head is probably right here, the eye, and then maybe the beak comes back here somewhere. Could even be a smaller version. It's hard to say on this one. It's a bit of a tougher one, but it is a very beautiful statue for sure. And if you guys haven't seen the earlier video, this is part 2, so make sure you check out part 1. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.